Sometimes I hear feeling in touch with fear. Freedom we hold dear now is at stake. Humble your heart to God, save from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians away. My Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon. Many will meet their doom.
Thanks for joining us. We've got one of the top cops in Nashville with us today, and we're always glad to have him on the program. And I thought he had been on just recently, but I come to find out he had been a while since he's been here. But it's Deputy Chief ToddHenry. Now, you were a commander when you was here the last time, they tell me.
I was commander over Hermitage Police Precinct, and
now you're Deputy Chief.
I'm Deputy Chief.
You're second top cop, right?
Well, one of three.
You got two Deputy Chiefs?
Three Deputy Chiefs and then
three
the
Deputy
Chief,
Chiefs.
Right.
Oh, okay. Who's the other two? You know their names?
Yeah, Damian Huggins is Deputy Chief over Investigative Service, and then Louise Kelton is Deputy Chief over Field Operations, which is the largest bureau in the department.
Now, before we get going here, I want you to understand as an audience, if I say something to him, it sounds like I'm making fun of him. I probably am. So we know each other, so we might start cutting up here a little bit, but I'll try to keep it straight. And I want you to talk about that badge because, you know, I'm proud of Nashville.
Right.
I love our police department. And I had Alexander.
Right. Commander Alexander.
Chief is Anderson. I get Anderson and Alexander's names mixed up, but that's just because I'm old and slow. Mike, yeah. Commander of South Precinct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good man. Good guy.
And
we were going to talk about the badge, but we got off on some other stuff and we didn't get to it. That was my fault. Talk about the badge.
Well,
can you zoom in on that thing? Is Betsy here? Can you pull up on it, pull that around there where they can see it? Take the camera off his face and put it on the badge. That'll be something good to look at.
Obviously, one of the turning points for the city of Nashville during my tenure on the police department, and for most people who are alive in Nashville, was the flood of 2010. And, you know, they call it the 500-year flood, the 1,000-year flood, but that's not really what defined Nashville, the flood itself, but the recovery effort and how people came together to fix Nashville after the flood. And it's something that the mayor has talked about continuously as he talks about how great a city Nashville is. And as you're aware, we had a change of leadership during the flood recovery. Actually, during the flood, Chief Surpass left.
Surpass deserted.
Chief Anderson
went on down the river to the New Orleans. He caught the first boat to New Orleans.
Probably wasn't his first flood, but so Chief Anderson stepped in, and through his leadership, but mainly because of just the work ethic and the integrity and the community buy-in of the officers of the Metro Police Department. One of the things that made us shine as a city was the lack of crime, the lack of looting, the lack of discontent during those troubled times, and how everybody came together, the police, the community, the fire, the EMS, people outside our community came together to make Nashville whole again. And so as we recovered from that flood and we came up on the anniversary, Chief Anderson kind of had a vision, and one of the photographs that somebody had taken during the flood was the raging waters of the Cumberland River downtown with the skyline in the background. So under Chief Surpass, we had come up with a coin that we
he gave me one of those, and I lost it in the flood.
Oh my goodness!
We'll
try to find you another.
He'll find me another.
We'll find you another one. Yeah,
he'll find it down there.
We might have a leftover. So the chief wanted to make a coin representing the flood, and then he was at a meeting, and some people had talked about coming up with a commemorative badge for 9/11, which was a great thing to do also. But the chief thought, we'll just come up with a commemorative badge on our recovery from the flood, and basically, if you can't see it, it's got your title and Metro Police, and then it says "We are back."
We're back.
And you know, the mayor kind of coined that term, and there were some T-shirts around the city. So basically, we put the badge on May 1st of 2011, and we're going to take it off May 31st of this year. So it's a 1-year commemorative badge too.
Going to be a big ceremony?
It won't be a big ceremony. It was kind of an internal thing.
You could have a ceremony, invite me to be sitting on the second row or some kind.
We could, but we may have another commemorative badge coming up because
really?
Next year is the 50th anniversary of us being a Metro government.
Oh, really?
So we might try to incorporate something there. But anyhow, the chief basically designed the badge. Officers had the opportunity to buy it if they wanted to with clothing allowance through our supplier, and most officers did. and just wear it as a symbol of pride on how well we worked with the community. You know, we had officers those first few weeks after the flood, we had officers working 12-hour shifts, all officers with no days off.
And you had officers that was working that had lost their homes.
We had over 60 officers who lost some or all of their home or belongings during the flood. And after about 3 weeks, we finally had a chance to sit back and take a breath, and we said, you know, especially if you've been affected, take some time off. And we had to make officers take time off. They would rather go out and protect other citizens than go home and work with their families. So that was just the dedication that they had. So in appreciation of that and the city as a whole, we just wanted to make this badge and wear it for a year.
Chief, I've seen, it's okay just call you Chief?
You can call me Todd, Chief. I've been called a lot of things.
Yeah, I know. You're from McMurray County.
McMurray County, right.
Yeah, I know you have. Well, I can't use those on the air here. I'm a Christian, man. Give me a break
I understand,
here.
me too.
Now, the police department impresses me here in Nashville.
Well, thank you.
Now, I've seen the police department years gone by, but right now, your departments here, your individual officers on the street, man, I pray for you guys. And I go up to officers and tell them I pray for you guys, because people here, you got some good quality officers, male, female, the whole 9 yards. You've got some good teams.
We do.
What do you contribute to this this improvement, as I would call it? I'm gonna put it this way: you've gotten away from the redneck, good old boy 1950s. You've gotten into some people that understand that we're in a community that's diversified.
Right.
Our diversity is our strength. Everybody doesn't see the world the way I do. I know everybody else is wrong, and I'm the only one that's right.
Right.
Your officers are very professional. I think is the right word I want to use. How do you do? What has brought about that change?
Well, I mean, first we just got really good officers, but to get those officers in place is you have to have an aggressive background and recruitment effort geared toward diversity and geared toward getting the best of the diverse people that are out there. And we truly work hard to do that, and we've worked hard to do that the last 10 or 15 years to get the people in place who, you know, integrity, being nice, positive attitude. That's what I preach to everybody that works for me. And those people watching that have worked, they can hear me say it every time I get in front of a group of people, of my direct reports. Integrity, positive attitude, and being nice. Those are the three big issues.
You see, being nice is what was missing for so long.
Right. Well, for years, you know, just the police mentality and across the country was it's us against them, and that's not it. We are them, they are us. You know, we are the police department of the citizens of Nashville. And so that thought process came kind of when Chief Surpass came into the city. He really pushed that impression upon us. And then Chief Anderson, who's been around through the last 5 chiefs and been his advisor, recognized that as he was consulting with other police chiefs. And so when he got in that position, he's really pushed.
Because he's old school. He was here a long time.
Well, he's here a long time, but he's an attorney. He always thought differently, thought outside the box.
Is he an attorney?
He is. Don't hold that against him. And he's always been a forward thinker.
But that makes sense. He is sharp.
So he's
and now I see why.
Smartest man I know.
Yeah,
so,
he is smart.
So we got good people in place. We've promoted some good people. And our management team has constantly talked to them about we are part of the community and treat people the way you want to be treated. And so as we tried to professionalize and really go from a occupation-based police department to a professional-based police department, you send people out to other areas to train, to learn the best practices in other cities. And as we did that and sent some of our middle managers, I went to my first management class in 2002. And before that, all I knew about police work was Nashville Police Department. That's the only place I've ever worked. So, not that we weren't good, but I saw how we could be better and how other people did it. So, basically, there's no sense in reinventing the wheel. So, I stole ideas from other people, and other middle managers went out and they went to educational and management classes, and they brought back the best practices. And now, quite frankly, when we go out and when we work with NHTSA and Northwestern University and when we go and we're members of the International Association of Chiefs of Police and Major Cities Chiefs, now when we go, we still learn a few things, but now every week somebody from an outside agency calls the Metro Police Department going, we think you do this better than anybody else in the city, in the world, in the country, and we want to know how you do it so we can incorporate that. So we really almost got to the point to where we are a training agency because we think outside the box, we take chances, and we engage the community. You know, our chaplains program that you've worked with in reaching out not only to make death notifications, but when juvenile crime issues pop up, and we bring our chaplain ministers in and we send them through our Citizens Police Academy, and not just, you know, give them mouth language, but make them a part of our police department so that they're ingrained in that. And if there are any questions about any situation that arises on the street, you can come to us and we'll sit you down and we'll tell you the facts as we know them. And if there's mistakes made, we'll say mistakes were made, and we'll try to improve upon that.
I've been out to murder scenes, and your chaplains show up there, and they immediately start taking care of those families, minister to them, and start talking about no retaliation.
Right.
Let the police do what the police do, and that is, I think, that is so healthy because, you know, I hate this stat. I'm proud of it, but I'm also hate it because people ask me who knocks on more doors in Nashville, Tennessee than anybody, and it ought to be inner city ministry in my mind. I need to knock on more doors, but y'all knock on more doors than we do.
We do. You know, the outreach to the community, you can't say enough about it, and you can't make it more of a centerpiece of your police department. And unfortunately, a lot of these kids, and when I was on the show last time, that's what we talked about, is broken families and broken kids, and the only way they know how to deal, if the only way they know how to deal with a problem, is violence.
That's right.
Then when violence happens to them or someone they know, then the only way they know to respond is with violence. And if we can get a minister or any influential adult in the mix to say, listen, there's other ways to cope with this, there's other ways to handle this, let the police do their job and let justice, you know, come the way the Constitution tells us we need justice, then if we can do that one time, we've succeeded. And with 55 murders in the city last year, our lowest in 40-something years, obviously that philosophy is working. Now 55 too many.
It is, but I understand what happens, and this has been the process that I've observed, and this is not, you can't go quote this somewhere.
Right.
But if there is man one shoots man two, okay, the family of man two goes back and shoots the family of man one.
Right.
And then it's over. Or no, they go one more time. Then he comes back and he retaliates, and then it's over. I don't know why they think after the third retaliation, it takes 3 retaliations. They listen to him talk on the street and being with him on the street.
Okay.
They go for 3 retaliations, then all of a sudden it's okay. They say we've settled. We haven't settled nothing.
Right.
You know, haven't settled nothing. I mean, it's just ignorance out speaking ignorance.
It is.
But after 3, and what it is, time. And if I tracked them and watched them, the ingredient was time had settled down, and it stopped and started thinking.
Right.
And so they slowed down. So my pitch has always been with them, and I really get in their grill sometimes and say, look, boys, God has 3 institutions. He gave us the church, he gave us the government, then he gave us the family, and the government's protect the family. Get out of the way and let God do what God does by using the police department to help bring this to protect people.
Right.
And they respond to it.
They do, and you know, one of the biggest benefits we've had with our outreach to the community is the community's cooperation in helping us solve crimes, and that was a big barrier for us. We are the community, and I think they understand that. So I think they feel comfortable coming forth, giving us information, and helping us help them. And man, that's what a great city's all about.
One of the biggest things that is an enemy of our city is this idea of no snitch.
Right.
See nothing, talk about nothing, tell nothing. And I know why people do that, because they don't want retaliation on them.
Right.
But you've got built in all of these numbers that you can call and nobody knows, because you want information. You don't want to see a person, you just want information.
You can be so anonymous it's scary. And we'll take information wherever it comes. You know, you make a paper airplane and fly it into the window, we'll take that information and run with it. And if you see cities that have a high murder rate and they don't have that connection to the community, that's exactly why the public doesn't trust the police enough to come forward. And when we built that bridge, and believe me, it's a new bridge, and we're still building on it every day, because we want all the information we can get about any crime, you know, gangs, drugs, guns, murders, burglaries. But most of the crimes we catch, either in progress or right after they've happened, is because a citizen saw something, felt comfortable calling the police, and we were able to get there and catch them.
I went to one of Mike's community meetings out in the South Precinct.
Yep.
And the officers, the burglary group was in there, and they had caught some guys out there was I think it was high school kids or somebody, I can't remember now, was hitting houses, and they caught them before they even got ready to could fence the material.
Yeah.
So everybody got their merchandise back. They caught them that quick.
Man, that's great.
Because they were in there and they had a feel for the community. You had your task force in there because you've been getting hit.
Right.
You put enough people in there, and people started talking, and bingo, you hit them. And that's good police work.
I mean, we can't do it without the community, and that's what we let them know. And so when you ask them for help, when you show appreciation when they do help, and you continue to build the bridges, not just around crimes, but around police helping the community, being the public servant, then again, that's what makes a great city. And I think, we've got to, we're nosing out. We're winning the race a little bit.
I think you are. I was out one night with my wife, and she spotted a vehicle, and she was really said, I'm a little leery about this situation here. And I said, baby, just relax. That's an undercover cop. Just go on and leave him alone. That's one of your finest police officers right there.
Right.
He's taking care of business.
Right. Well, we don't always like for people to know where we're at.
That's right. Yeah, and I want to talk to you about some of these unmarked cars you around here run these traffic stops on. Man, those things are. Y'all just don't show much respect for people like me that drive a little fast every now and then.
Well, it's about saving lives, and sometimes people joke about that, but really, truthfully, that's what it's at. Well, that's what they think. But the good news is,
with me, I slowed down.
The good news is, and I'm hesitant now to say this as much as I used to, but every time somebody would ask me about vehicle stops, I say, well, yeah, we make a lot of them, and we're on record, on track this year to make more than ever before. But we only issue citations in about 18% of the cases. And so I tell people that, and they're like, well, yeah, I got pulled over and I got a warning, and we call it an educational experience, But I was telling that to a young man who I'm a friend of. You probably know him. He works at Lipscomb University, but we won't mention any names. Yeah, right. And he was late to a meeting, and he said, well, I was late because I was going too fast and got pulled over. And I said, well, we only issue citations about 18% of the time. He said, well, I got one. Why me? So we understand the 18% that get a citation wonder why them. But for us, it's not about writing tickets. It's about stopping the car, looking past the stop. Because I think we make out of traffic stops about 25% of our arrests come from a traffic stop where somebody's got a warrant on them, got guns in the car, got drugs in the car. So it's more than just the stop. But once we find out it's just a good citizen who maybe had their foot on the pedal too much or didn't know a brake light was out or had expired tags, if the opportunity seems correct and the officer wants to give a warning, then we're fine with that.
When it stopped me out on Dixon Road, this has been 3 months ago, I guess, lit me up. And I hate when those lights come on.
Oh, man.
He lit me up because I got a commercial driver's license. I got a CDL.
Okay.
And it complicated.
Well, I've seen that van. You probably need one for that.
Yeah, that's right. And so he drove up beside, he pulled me, walked up beside the car, and he said, do you know you got a tail light out? I did not know.
Right.
And I said, thank you. And so they ran my plate and let me go.
Yeah.
But he told me I had a tail light out, and that's good police work.
We're out there looking for criminals, and sometimes the community finds it hard to understand, but Nashville's not a walking city. We're about 533 square miles, so we're not like some cities where people commit crimes and walk on foot. Pretty much, if somebody's going to steal something or rob something or shoot something, they're going to be in a vehicle. And so why should we think that if they're going to commit a crime that they would also inspect their car to make sure all the lights are working and that the tags are on and the tags aren't expired? I mean, criminals are criminals. Something they did in Washington State, I talked to a guy, they started running the tags on cars parked illegally in a handicapped parking spot. They go into a mall parking lot.
Selfishness.
Somebody would be parked in a handicapped spot illegal. They'd run the tag, and about 40% of the people had warrants on them. So the mindset that I don't care that I'm going to illegally park here, I'm not going to follow the law. Nobody's going to tell me what I can and can't do.
There you go.
And on simple things, 40%. That's a huge number. I was surprised to hear that. So that was one of the things I stole and brought back to Nashville. And when our officers have time and they're not on calls and they're looking through parking lots, if they see a car parked illegally, besides writing the expensive ticket that goes with parking in a handicapped spot, they run the owner of the tag, and if they come out, they might have a warrant on them, and we can serve that warrant and get another criminal off the street.
See, I was at a store the other day, and a girl, about 22-year-old, whipped in there, was healthier than I was, parked right in a handicap. She blurted in that store, you could just tell she was selfish. She was going to do things her way.
Yeah.
And if it had caught her, I'm sure that there may have been some paper there somewhere.
Right. So it's it's a way to come into contact with people to get criminals out of our communities. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do.
Now, your job's a lot harder than it was years ago because of the diversity of Nashville. All the different languages, all the different people. How y'all dealing with that?
Well, we just try to educate our officers as best we can. Sometimes if you live in your own little shell and don't look at the bigger picture, and you said it earlier, I mean, the best way to create a diversified police force is to bring diversity in. Mm-hmm. Because if you and I work together every day and you're a different gender, a different race, a different ethnicity, a different religion, the best way for me to really find out about those issues that I'm unsure about or uncomfortable with is to talk to somebody that's mm-hmm. there. So we've tried to recruit and make our recruiting as diverse as possible, but we can always use the help. So please, www.mnpd.com. If you want to be a police officer, we're always hiring. You can go online. You have to fill out the application online and send it in, and we're always looking for good recruits. But you bring those recruits in, and then outreach to the community groups. Whenever there's enough of a minority culture in town, they're going to have a community center, they're going to have a community room, they're going to have an informal leader. And so as a police department, one of the things we do out of our specialized investigations division is find out who that person is and reach out to them. We don't wait for the problems to happen and come to us. We want to go and then we have educational sessions. Unfortunately, in a lot of undeveloped countries, domestic violence is a huge problem. We've got immigrants that come over who may be the marrying age or the dating age or the age of consent's a lot lower than what our state law is. And so when they come over here, they have to learn what the laws are. But I think maybe in the past, we just investigated the crime and arrested the person, and then the community looked at the police, like we're the same as the corrupt police in their society because they didn't understand what we were doing. So now when we find out there's a new culture, a new immigrant group in town, we try to reach out to that leader or whoever's working with them to acclimate them to the community and give them lessons about, this is how we operate as a police department, this is why we pull you over, this is what domestic violence laws are. We give them numbers to contact us so that they know what the laws are. And then most people come here for a better life and they want to obey the laws and they want to become a productive citizen. We just give them the tools they need to help them do that.
And boy, that's good police work. As a police department doing that. That is really good.
It's just being a good neighbor.
That's right. And I think that I said it a while ago, you, as I'm not supposed to say y'all, I think, but the Nashville Police Department, you from McNairy County, y'all are.
That's the only word I know.
Y'all are the community.
We are.
And you want to be the community, and the community can trust you, and they can deal with you and talk to you. What about street gangs, young people, gangs? Well,
street gangs are a problem in any city, and Nashville has our share of them. They're different in Nashville because of the busing issue. You may live in one neighborhood, get bused to another, and unfortunately gangs are prevalent in inner city neighborhoods and in schools. That's where they recruit from. So we've got a lot of resources that reach out to gangs through our great education program, and then we've got 3 different gang units. We do outreach to gang members to let them know we're watching them and paying attention to them. So it's a problem. I'm not sure it's the problem the media makes it out to be. I think when you look at the population of Nashville and then you pull out the males between the ages of 15 and 25, which are going to be your predominant gang, I think when you look at that, you're going to find that maybe 10% of those people are involved in gangs. And that's too many, but to listen to the media, you would think it'd be 100%, and it's just not the case.
I've seen gangs, and here in town, it seems to me that we have more wannabe gangs than real hardcore gangs now. I've talked to people in New Orleans, and they said that after Katrina, they all left.
Right.
And New Orleans population left.
Right.
But another group came in, and they were much more violent. And those are gangs. Right.
And I think, and again, our gangs are a little bit different. We don't see the cohesiveness because of some busing and moving issues. We don't see gangs with great leaders where you kind of cut the head off the snake like they do in other gang cities. There are what we do call wannabe gangs, but I kind of look at it like this. It's kind of like the little dog that acts like he's big because he don't know the difference. he can still be dangerous because
Yeah,
he's
he
got
can.
teeth. So
That's a good way to look at
you know,
it.
if you want, you know, so on the flip side of that, when you're dealing with the police, if you think you're a gang member, then we think you're a gang member, and we'll treat you like a gang member. So
Give him the respect he deserves.
right. So you know, and that's it. Unfortunately, these kids think it's about respect, but they don't know what respect really is.
Right.
And respect comes from faith and knowledge of the Bible and love of the Lord and true respect. Fear is not respect. You don't get respect by hurting other people. You don't stand taller by standing on top of somebody that you think's lower than you or weaker than you.
That's right.
And so,
That's right.
again, I don't think we got a gang problem. I think we got a family problem.
There you go.
And if families do what they need to do, then we're not worried about gangs.
Fix the family, you fix the problem.
Exactly.
I want you to make sure your mamas and daddies. I always say your mamas because I deal with so many single mothers, but I tell you what, daddies, y'all going to have to come alive in this thing. I was talking to Mayor Dean, and he said, we got to do something to get these daddies responsible for their children.
Yeah. Yep.
And get them paying child support, and not just paying child support, but get them involved in the kids' lives to give them advice on how to live and how to be a man.
Children want structure. They crave
They
it. And
do.
if you don't get it at home, then the gang will give you that structure.
When you grew up in McNairy County, you knew who was parents in your home.
Hey, yes, I did. I did.
And they were not ashamed to let you know that they were the parents.
They weren't. They weren't.
I want to encourage you parents as watching this program, be responsible for your children. And one of my ministers said one day, I'm not ashamed of your sin. And I thought that was a powerful statement because our children are going to make mistakes. That's the reason God gave them to us, to give us an opportunity to, while they're making mistakes, we can fashion them and grow them and help them to understand that's a mistake. Nashville's a good place to live. We got a good police department.
It's a great place.
Chief, what would you like to tell we got about a minute and a half to go. What would you like to tell the city of Nashville?
If more people were like Lydell Thomas,
You got that right.
if they quit talking about the problem and get in the middle of the problem and start fixing the problem, then we won't have as many problems. So
That's
thank you
right.
for what you do.
Hey, we appreciate y'all. We
Thank
appreciate your support. Y'all are a good department. And I love so much about what you do and the way you did, the vision you had to go on and diversify and have precincts,
Hey,
divisions out there where the crime is.
and we're trying to add more. So
Just got the North Precinct. We out of time. We can't talk about it, but that, and not North Precinct, the Madison
got
Precinct.
the Madison, and Midtown Hills is probably coming in 2013 or 2014.
Here's the kind of friend you'd take me out there and show me that Madison Precinct.
Well, you know, it's temporary, but I'll carry you out there next time we go to lunch.
Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in. And when you see a police officer on the street, go up and say something nice to them and encourage them, because these people are working for us. They are part of our community. And when you see something that you think might be a little bit not right, go on and tell them that, and they'll follow through with it. And if it's bad information, well, nothing harm. But if it's good information, you might save a life and you might save a family. Chief, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
God bless you, people. We pray for you. And folks, thanks for tuning in, and God bless you.
Sometimes I hear feeling in touch with fear. Freedom we all hold dear now is at stake. Humble your heart to God, save from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians away. My Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon. Many will meet their doom. Trumpets will sound, and all of the dead shall rise. Righteous me in the skies. I'm going where no one does, heavenward bound. What troubles will soon be o'er, happy forevermore. When we meet on that shore, free from all care, rising up in the skies, telling this world goodbye. Home when we will fly.